So pretty much if I have to take birth control all the time and like what if I do want to have another baby
Then I
then
think you come off the pill and try. But that's what I'm telling you, that when you get all messed up with this, and if you were trying to get pregnant, the best time to get pregnant is if you had the surgery, right out of the surgery, hit it with the Lupron, and then as soon as your cycle comes back, because the Lupron will make your cycle go away, that's the best time to try to have a baby, because that's when you're going to be the most cleaned up inside with
mm-hmm.
the endo. The further you get away from the surgery and the medicine treatment, now it's starting to climb back up again, so your chances of pregnancy go down. Some people have trouble getting pregnant again. Some people have bad endometriosis and have never had a problem getting pregnant.
And I
There's
remember
no rhyme or reason to this disease.
that's what I've seen. I remember Dr. Merritt telling me that sometimes when people get pregnant that it takes it away.
It shuts it down because that's a whole nother hormonal state
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like being on the pill that suppresses it. Are you following me?
Yes, yes.
I mean, you sound like you know some things
Mm-hmm.
about this, and Merritt sounds like he did a
Yeah.
pretty good job. But I think when you couldn't get the Lupron, it's
I kind of
like
gave up.
you gave up, but you cannot, because this is not going to go away. You do not want to be in somebody else's OR, and the only thing that's going to be able to manage it, because even if you went into the OR and looked at it, if it's a bunch of little stuff like this, you can't laser stuff over your bladder, so you can burn it
Mm-hmm.
like every spot. But if it's sitting over your bladder or over your bowel, you can't laser that, because then you'll laser a hole in your bladder and you think you got problems. Now you really got some problems.
That makes
So
sense.
there's a lot of stuff that you cannot surgically mess with, so you got to go to the next thing, would be something hormonal, which would be either Lupron. That's really the only drug that I ever used for it. It's just a shame that it costs so much money, and even the insurance company is getting even more stinky about it. Because I usually, when I have somebody that I find it on, I usually ask for a year up front.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for more, use less. Some people I get to keep on a whole 12 months. The majority of people, maybe 9. Now the insurance company is coming back and saying, nope, the book says you're only supposed to do it for 6 months, and that's all we're going to pay for, 6 months, period.
See, he tried to get even just 3 months.
1 month, I know.
And he couldn't. He said he had 3 patients. He said I was the worst, but he had 3 patients all other than me that were trying to get on it. And he couldn't get any of them approved. He said he even called and talked to them to try to explain, the pain that it causes and all that, and they don't give a crap.
They don't care.
It's crazy because it's like, they don't know how it is to sit there with this pain all the time that you can't do anything about.
I wish I had an answer for you. But then it's kind of like they'll say they'll pay for you to be in a hospital bed, in the ER. How much money?
Thousands and thousands of dollars probably.
From the ER to here, and it, God forbid, I take you to the OR and do another laparoscopy on you. That's going to throw another $10,000. You think we could have bought you some Lupron with that money?
Yeah.
Sure we could have. But we have no control over, and that's very frustrating, because we know that that's not the best thing for you. So a lot of times, I mean, I've had situations where I've talked to the insurance company too, and they're like, well, why don't you just do blah, blah, blah with her? And I'm like, okay, so you want me to take this girl to surgery, even though I don't think she needs to go to surgery?
Right.
How dumb is that? Versus giving her some medicine. So you got a cyst. My guess is the cyst is probably from the pill being gone. And if we don't have any other options, and if you're not getting any different insurance, it's a good chance that we're not going to have anything else to do with it. And I would really encourage you now, your period may be off because of the stress of being sick and maybe this pancreatitis thing. I don't even know how that's tying in to this situation. And that may have been what threw you off too, because now you're not even having your cycle because it's gotten thrown off for whatever reason.
That's why I was wondering about pregnancy, because I mean, like I said, and 5 to 6 years, I've never went without a period more than 15 days.
I think it's because you were sick a month or so ago, and that probably threw you off too. Whereas if you were still on the pill, you might have had a chance of it staying halfway under control. So you kind of removed what was barely holding it down. And if you got sick on top of it, now it's just all going crazy. I know that's not maybe the answer you wanted to hear, but that's after I looked at your records. I don't just come up and just. I've been sitting down there reading notes and looking at stuff all day and trying to figure out what's going on. Because a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, Dr. Dash will come up and take her to surgery." I am not going to take you to surgery because that is not what you need. If I thought you needed to go to surgery, we'd be going.
Right.
But that's not going to fix your problem. So I think if you're trying to get pregnant, then you need to be trying to get on with that.
We have been for.
But then if you're
3
not, and
months.
sometimes you may have to go back to the beginning, try to get your cycles back under control, go on the pill, get
Kind
it
of
right,
restart.
and then let it get settled down, and then go off of it and try again, because that may be where you are now. And it doesn't sound like you need to be thinking about trying to get pregnant until you know about some of what else is going on with you. The pancreatitis is kind of still. Why you got pancreatitis? I don't know. That's a bizarre. And you had your gallbladder out.
Yeah.
Did you have stones?
Nope.
Sludge?
Nope.
Did you get a HIDA scan?
Where they check it to see if it's working or not.
Right.
Yep.
Come here.
And what did that say?
They
It
said
was
that
not functional. That's how they figured out it needed to come out.
they said like, okay, I'm not sure the number, but say 50 is normal.
Right.
And I was at like 27, but they said that you never know what your normal is. Just because somebody's normal may be 25 and the limit's 50,
Right.
you could be right at 47, but you're still perfectly
That's
fine.
normal for you.
Right. And
But you had a lot of
I was puking
upper pain.
anything that I ate or drank, literally for 2 weeks I could not hold down. And that was their main
Got better
reason.
when you got your gallbladder out.
It completely stopped. So
The thing about it is if you had stones, sometimes when they take your gallbladder out, the stones could go like in the duct, and they can they clip it off at a point, so you can get a little bit of a sludge or some goop in the duct, and the duct is still in there where they cut it off and detach the gallbladder,
Right.
and you could be having some issues with that because that will also.
Well,
That's up there by your
they said there was
pancreas.
a lot of air in there, and they explained that that usually the extra bile goes into that, but if it has nowhere to go, then it's got to find somewhere else for it to go. And if it's not got anywhere in there, they said, well, sometimes it can kind of come back out there, I guess. But
So you had the gallbladder in 13, and the pancreatitis showed up in
March of last year.
in this year in November. So that's like 2 years later.
And
I
I've
wouldn't be
been
surprised if it's still something funky going on with that gallbladder that's causing the pancreatitis, and they may have to see you. The problem is once you had your gallbladder out, there's like one guy in St. Louis, as a matter of fact, I just talked to another patient about this. His name is Purdy. He's like this one specialist that can go down and look into that little duct and see if there's something there, because something is making you have pancreatitis, and given that weird history with your gallbladder, I bet it's something like that. I think these are two totally separate things. Two serious things, but two totally separate things.
right.
So, my best recommendation would be probably to try to get back on your pill, what is the Monessa, and do the continuous pill to not let you have a period.
Mhm.
Because it's gotten all out of whack right now, that's got you with this pain, it's probably going to take several months for you to get back on track with it.
Mm.
I would expect that once you got it back under control, your period would probably continue to not be there, hopefully, but also that cyst would probably go away. If the cyst stays there after we think you've gotten the pill back on board, okay, then that may be some other bridge to cross, but I think that's the best place to start. Otherwise, you're going to end up with people in there taking stuff and messing with stuff, and the more times then you're messing with things. So right now you still have an ovary, but if it keeps being a problem, somebody may say, "Oh, we'll just go in and take that ovary out," and you don't want that.
No.
If you can keep from it, it may not be. It may be something that may end up happening. But until you've exhausted all your other options, then I think you need to try to be as conservative with it as possible. So you should have had a period when?
I usually start around like the 8th or 9th of the month.
What's the day?
It's the 9th.
The 9th.
I've been thinking all day it was Thursday
I don't
still.
never know what day it is, so that's not anything new. I would probably, you don't want to, you can give you hormones to start a period. I don't think you want to do that. I think you want to just wait and see when it's going to kick in on its own. So the less mess we got to give you to mess with something,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm telling you, you can give some hormones that might help to like induce your period, but it probably would be better if you just waited until your body got ready to do it, and then when you start back on the pill, I go back to what you were taking, take it like you were taking, and just try to see if you can't get this to settle down. Okay. And unless you're going to be able to get a chance to get some Lupron somewhere, I don't know what.
I'm struck.
You what?
That I'm struck. That's crazy that there's only really one option out.
But I'm going to tell you, it's a great drug when you can use it. A lot of women don't like it, but I'm going to tell you, I think, you know, I'm as good
Yeah, if you can actually get them to give it to you.
Do what?
You can get them to give it to you.
I know. It's outrageously priced. It really is. And I'm going to tell you, the insurance companies are getting more and more sticky, but, you know, this is kind of a, not a mainstream drug. It's mainstream in my business as a gynecologist, but the insurance industry is getting ready to try to find out ways to not cover insulin. How do you not cover insulin?
Oh, wow.
It's like they had it on the news probably 2 months ago, like 10 categories, and insulin was one of them. And they used this little boy who's a juvenile diabetic. He's like been a diabetic since he was born. So he's like 10 or something, 7 or 10. So he had to take insulin like 5 or 6 times a day. His parents already paid like $500 a month with insurance out of pocket for insulin. Mm-hmm. So when they stop covering it next year, they're going to have to pay about $1,500 a month out of pocket. Now, this is an insulin-dependent juvenile diabetic. It's not like you're an old fat man that ate bad, smoked cigarettes,
right.
and drank his
tearing his own body up.
Right. He didn't have any choice to be diabetic. And if he doesn't have insulin, this kid's going to die.
That's sad.
But this is what the insurance. So me talking to him or Dr. Merritt talking to them about some.
They ain't gonna give a shit.
It ain't even on their radar. So let me feel your tummy and just see